And welcome everyone. Andy Lindahl here. We're gonna have Jamie Shuchuk jumping on here in just a second. Jalen Chaster's gonna be along as well. So glad to have you along here on this Wednesday night for Mammoth After Hours. Got a lot going on today. Kind of cool. Jalen had agreed to join us, and then Ryan Lee decided he could jump on too. Really appreciate their time. We've got a lot of folks now. It's interesting because Ryan's out east. You know, some of these guys that don't live into town 8 o'clock, 8:15, all that's not quite so early out there, especially when you got a job like some of them do. So excited to get both guys on here in a second, and excited to be talking Mammoth lacrosse with you again. Mammoth had a rough one. Oh, well, look, they had a pretty good game going in Albany, but Albany kind of did to the Mammoth what the Mammoth did to Albany back at the Loud House a couple of weeks ago. It was, to me, a very overall, very entertaining series, very entertaining. Back to back. I think the league, you know, it is fun when teams get to see each other a couple weekends in a row. Sometimes you get some of the anger produced, as we saw Buffalo, Toronto. We didn't get any of that anger. I think we saw a little more intensity. I don't know if intensity is the right word, because it was the game in the Loud House was a lot of fun, especially if you were a Mammoth fan, because they had a massive comeback. Albany continues to show that they're a really good team. Look, the record doesn't say they're a great team, but that offense can score, and they've scored again. They continue to score, and so look, I just thought it was a fun series between the two. We're gonna welcome in my color partner here, and it's always fun trying to figure this out, Jamie, as we get going. And you know what, Jalen's on as well. We're just gonna bring everybody in. There's Jalen Chaster. There's Jamie Shuchuk. Hello to everybody. Jalen, if you could turn your phone sideways, I think it'll give us a little bit different. There we go. We got the bigger picture now. But yeah, so Jalen, we'll start with you, Jamie. I'm going to get your thoughts about the Albany series here as we wrap up with the guys, but pleased to get Jalen on right away. Jalen, how much fun was it playing a team back to back? Do you enjoy those scenarios like you did the last 2 weeks?
You know what? It's nice. It's nice in the sense that you kind of get a feel for what they're gonna do. You feel comfortable playing against the same guys in a sense. So that's also nice. But it is a bit annoying going out to Albany all day, quite the far flight. So I prefer to have a back to back in Denver next time for both games.
Jalen, where are you traveling into? Because I hear Albany is tough to get to from out west. Is that where you're living?
Yeah, I'm in Vancouver. So it was, I think, there wasn't so bad, but I think it was about an 18-hour day home. So yeah, not so nice.
You know what? I used to work in the Arena Football League, and for us, it was Grand Rapids, Michigan, where you go to Detroit, and then they send you on the little puddle jumper, you know, over the plane that you're not sure is sturdy enough in winter weather to get up and down. Did you at least get big planes both ways, or did you get any of those little mini flights too?
Sorry, you cut out for me.
Did you get the big planes both ways, or did you have to take any of the little mini planes on your way in there? Those shorter flights.
The shorter flights, we had the smaller planes, which can get a little bit rough with the wind and stuff. But it was pretty smooth on the plane for the most part. It's everything else in between.
All right, I got to ask you both, because Jamie obviously played for the Mammoth too. You guys have been on a million flights. We had a couple. I had one guy on the Crush that hated flying. None of the Bronco guys that ever flew with got nervous, but there was one Rockies broadcaster who freaked out at the slightest bit of turbulence. Did you guys have anybody ever that was rut that didn't like the flights? Are there any flight scared Mammoth players that we need to know about? Airsick guys?
You know what? I think everyone, for the most part, is pretty good. I haven't seen anyone gripping their chair too tight or anything. So I don't know if they'd voice it if they were, but I think everyone's pretty comfortable with it for the most part.
Yeah, Jalen, let's get right to it here with some tough questions. I'm looking at probably they're not going to be that tough, but I'm looking at you're in your third year with the Mammoth. Consistent guy in the lineup. You're averaging 2 goals a season. Obviously, that's not what you're here for. Like, talk about your role playing in the Mammoth defense, which has obviously been very important to their success in the last 6 years or so.
For sure. I think, I'm not the biggest defender by any means. I'm not there to blow guys up or be a stay-at-home guy, but I think my role when it comes to our principles and stuff is a lot of pushing the pace and dictating their offensive guys. So trying to make things uncomfortable, using my feet to put pressure on them. Obviously, I think I should be averaging more goals a season. I'm definitely capable of putting up more numbers. I think that should be part of my role. I just got to find a way to get the ball in the net a little more. But yeah, I think pushing the ball, getting the pace moving on the back end is definitely part of my role.
Yeah, we've definitely seen you do that. Like, does everybody have the green light in Pat Coyle's defense and Dan McRae back there? Like, I would imagine that's a big part of strategy in this league. Transition is so important. Like, I know Jordan Gillis is getting up the floor, but it seems like anytime any defensive player is up there, we saw Warren Jeffrey score goals last year. Like, is it just anybody got the ball, push it, and you got the green light kind of thing?
For sure. I mean, at the end of the day, like whether you're, I guess, the defenseman title or transition title, at the end of the day, we're all lacrosse players. We all know to pass, catch, and, make good decisions. So obviously some guys have the green light to like stay up and play, like actually play offense. But I would say like as a whole, our whole defensive unit has the go ahead to push the ball and get some opportunities on the fly.
I want to learn a little bit more about you. We got Ryan Lee. We'll add in here in a second. It's awesome to have all you guys on. But do you guys feel pressure to kind of replace Joey Capito? Because, Jalen, you've had some nice breakouts. I know Jamie listed the goal numbers, but I can remember a couple of your goal highlights. Do you guys feel like someone needs to step in and try to take that role at all, or is it by committee?
I don't think we're, feeling the pressure individually. Obviously it's a big role to fill. Joey's, a great player and he tends to find those opportunities and capitalize on them as well. But I think, as a committee, like you said, I think we're all, we all have the goal to push the ball more. And, that's something that isn't falling on an individual. As a team principal, I'd say. I think we're just looking to push the ball as a group, as a unit, and hopefully good opportunities come out of that.
All right, tell me about this tattoo collection you got going. James is giving me a little bit of insight there. What's your biggest piece of art, and what's the next one you hope to get? How many do you have total?
I mean, I guess you could consider it one, but it's I got a full sleeve on my arm. Kind of just went big. The first tattoo did the whole sleeve, but I got, I guess, like the koi fish, the dragon, Japanese inspired. Got like a Minto Cup tattoo that's kind of incorporated into it, but that's it for now. That was a lot. I think I'm not closed off to more, but I'm not going to get any until I have any ideas that pop up. Maybe a couple more championships and we'll get something.
There you go. All right, let's bring in our guy Ryan Lee because I want to get everybody in here. Ryan, appreciate. We got East and West now, right? We got Vancouver, we got Toronto. I got Winnipeg playing on the TV over here because it's Avs and Winnipeg night. So all of Canada getting represented here. Ryan, we were talking with Jalen. What did you think of the back-to-back? Jalen said it's good for scouting, but nobody. Connor told us the same thing last week. Connor Robinson, that nobody seems to like to travel to Albany. But how was the back-to-back for you?
Yeah, it was good. Connor's right. No one likes to travel to Albany. Jay can probably agree it's not the best place. Back-to-back's good. You know what to expect going into it. So it's good for the offense specifically. Knowing where to score on Dougie always helps. But yeah, it didn't work for us this past weekend.
Yeah, what do you guys think? You guys either of you guys can answer this. Like, what do you think the difference was? Like, obviously the home game. You guys just played typical Mammoth lacrosse. The crowd was behind you. Dylan Ward shut the door in the fourth quarter, but it was kind of the opposite. Albany scored a lot more than you guys in the fourth quarter. Like, what was the atmosphere like? Do you think they're a desperate team? Like, what was the difference going, within 7 days?
Yeah, they're definitely a desperate team. Playing at home always helps for us, of course. I would say the big difference was, it's funny, we were down 8 goals to start the game in the first game, and we were up by 2 or 3 goals going into half in the second game. So that could be it. We got ahead of ourselves thinking the second half there would be easier, but yeah, it is tough to play back to back. There's a little chippiness going on, and it's fun though. It's fun to kind of get back at guys that hit you there, here and there. So,
Jalen, what have you thought about some of the rule changes? It was interesting beginning of the year. I think I even talked to Ryan about it. Ryan, I think you were the first one to tell me you thought maybe the transition guys would be hindered a little bit by the holding the stick. We've seen a lot of cross checks, I feel like, the last 2 games between you guys and Albany. But what have you have you had to adjust much as a defensive player to some of the the clutching and grabbing that goes on? And frankly, guys, I feel like scoring's up. Jalen, we'll start with you, but do you feel like the new rules, is it helping opening things up? Is that why we might be getting a few more goals? Is it just because your offense is so good right now?
You know what? First of all, I don't even know what a cross-checking penalty in lacrosse is. I still am having a hard time wrapping my head around that. But I think our offense is just playing really well. They've been together for a while. We obviously had an off year last season, but I think they're really starting to connect and move the ball well, and everyone's kind of pulling their weight. And when defenses see all those names on the floor, you got 7 guys that you have to cover equally as well, because each one of them are skilled just as much as the other. I think that's where things get tough, because other teams, they got a few guys that are pulling the weight a little more than others, where we have a full group that can do it all. So I think that makes things tough for other defenses.
Have you seen guys adjust, Ryan? Because again, you and I talked very beginning of the year, right before Black Friday, and honestly, you were a soothsayer telling me about how you thought it was going to affect some of the transition guys. Have you had to adjust much?
I haven't noticed it a ton. I mean, our preseason games, there were a ton of calls and they were trying to enforce it, but we haven't seen it much recently. There's been the odd one. I haven't really noticed a difference with the new call. Guys are still playing the same as they've always played, and yeah, it might have helped with transition. You can't really hold on. The D can't really hold on to guys, O can't really hold on to guys taking off and stuff. But I haven't really noticed it myself that much.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen more offensive penalties though this year, especially at Ball Arena. But I want to ask you this, Ryan. So every guy we've talked to so far, we've asked about how it's been with just getting you back on the floor and back in the locker room and battling with the boys. Like, let's talk about Connor Kelly and just the balance of this offense. He's 1 goal behind Lyle Thompson for the lead in the league right now. He seems to be very consistent. You're dishing the ball, getting plenty of assists. How fun is it being back on the floor, number one? And yeah, talk about just the balance that you guys have on the left and the right side right now.
Yeah, it's great to be back. I mean, last season was a struggle to watch, and especially like I probably traveled to like half the games, maybe even if that, just kind of staying at home and focusing on recovery. So that was a hard part for me. So even just getting back this preseason and kind of getting back into the swing in it, seeing the guys right away and kind of getting back together was the best part. Being on the floor is obviously is always a treat, and you can't take that for granted. But yeah, having a guy like CK, it was nice to come in and play with him. He's such a great player, and it's nice. Like Jalen said, we have 6 other guys that are also incredible players. Like, you're not, years in the past, you're relying on like 1, 2 guys, 3 guys, where now it's like every guy can score. Getting Will was a huge bonus for us to have him back. So it's a potent offense, and every guy is capable of putting the ball in the net.
Jalen, I'm curious. You played for Pat Coyle and juniors. What's the difference between junior Pat Coyle and Mammoth Pat Coyle? Is he angrier? Is he louder? Is there any difference at all?
I will say when you're younger, he's a little more intimidating. As I've grown up, though, he's become I'd say a good mentor, a good friend, and you can talk to each other like adults rather than an adult to a kid. I think he's a little more approachable for sure.
You guys, what is this time of year like? You know, every I don't care what sport it is. There's a lull. There's a, you know, in baseball, it's the dog days of summer. Football, I've covered some bad teams that maybe made a run, but man, November right before Thanksgiving just kind of sucks because the playoffs feel far away, and you know the excitement of the new year is over. We're like midpoint of the season. Is there a lull in the year for you to having like jobs outside of this help at all? Or is this a tough time because every city you go to is colder than the other? What's it like this time of year?
Oh, you should come to Toronto right now. It feels like minus 25 Celsius. It's freezing.
At least you don't have to play in Edmonton. I used to get true. Every time we had a Edmonton Rush game, Shuey, I can't believe you grew up here. It's freezing. It was always January, and I mean it's cold in Denver right now. But just want to throw that out there. At least
I think going to Sask is worse than Edmonton. One for the place, two for the cold.
What's Ottawa going to be like? I haven't even looked ahead. I don't know if you guys have to go to Ottawa or if they come here or whatever. What's Ottawa like?
I think we're in Ottawa.
March, maybe.
Yeah, March. Ottawa gets cold. They get smoked. They get a lot of ice. Ottawa will be a chilly one.
So are you guys grinding, or is it when you get around the boys, the energy comes back? What's this time of year feel like?
The energy always comes back. It's kind of an interesting season. The past like 3 seasons, we've always started with like 2-3, like I think we had 3 buys last year in December, or 2 buys or something. So it's kind of it's nice that we have them spread out. We start with one a couple weeks ago, and then we have one coming up in Feb, and then we have one in March or April, whenever it is. So it's a nice spread. It's a grind, but I mean, past years when you start with 2 or 3 and then you don't get your buy for like 4 months later, that's a lot harder. So it is spread out. It's nice though. I was talking to someone yesterday about it, about kind of getting to see the guys, and it's like the group we have right now is like you almost just saw everyone the day before. Like it doesn't seem like 5 days went by and you haven't been together. So it's a tight knit group, and everyone's so close that we're all best buddies, and it's a lot of fun just to fly in Friday, get to see everyone at practice, and kind of get going for the weekend.
How about for you, Jalen? What's it like this time of year?
I think it's great. You know, it's almost nice to not be here in Vancouver because it's just raining all the time. It's nice to travel to other cities, obviously hang out with the guys. We have a lot of Friday games early in the season, so it's a lot of early week travel. But you know, when you're spending time with the boys and getting to play lacrosse, it doesn't really feel like work. It's just, it's a fun weekend.
Jay's bitter about his past weekend and upcoming weekend travels.
Yeah, they're long. But you guys got to do it most of the year, so I can't complain.
Yeah, you guys got Rochester next year. It's not that bad of travel for you though, right, Lee? Right, Lee?
No, it's good. I get to drive. Drove last weekend to Albany, drove this weekend to Roch, so it's nice not having to go to an airport or board a plane and get your bag when you land is the best thing ever.
Yeah, he loves it. Yeah.
Well,
let's talk about that. The next part of your schedule. You know, felt like the last couple of podcasts we were talking about the difficulty of your next 3-4 games. You're playing 2 teams, your next 2 games that are below you in the standings, but obviously, you know, everybody's played 5 or 7. One team's played 8 games, but important time of the year. Like, how much does that factor in? Like, if you guys are playing like a Buffalo, or, you know, I'm just going to throw Toronto since they're dead last in the league. Like, does that change the mindset at this point of the year? Like, what are you guys thinking going into these type of games?
You know what? I think the league is so talented that any team can beat anyone on a certain day. You know, obviously there's games that are, I guess, bigger than others in terms of whether we win or whether we lose, but I think each game is important as the next, because this game is this league is too close to take a game for granted. You know, we let a couple slip that, you know, we could be sitting in second place if things were to go a different way, right? So I think, right now we're kind of sitting in the middle of the pack, but 2 weeks from now, that could be completely different. So, you got to take every game like it's a playoff game.
Do you guys feel like you have it? Ryan, you both remember from the championship run. Like, when did you start to realize, hey, man, we have something here? I watch your offense when it gets going. We talked about it with Krob last week. You're as balanced in offense as I think we've seen for them. I don't remember Mammoth offense being this balanced. Jamie, maybe you remember one. And I went pre-pandemic. I from 06 to 15, I was the color guy. So, I saw Adam Jones roll through here. I've seen a lot of different variations of the Mammoth. I feel like what you guys have this year, you dial it in at the right time like you did a couple years ago. I think you guys are as dangerous as anybody.
Yeah, for sure. Going back to the championship season, I would say it kind of felt like midway through the season is when we turned it around. We always seem to start our season slow, but yeah, it was midway through the season and we kind of realized what we had in the group. But going to the team that we have this year, like you said, I've been here 6-7 years now, and we've never had a group of offense. Our D is every year is the same. They're always the strong suit of our team. But this year we have 7 guys that can score the ball, and it's probably the best all-rounded offense I've been a part of.
Jalen, what do you look for in a transition break? What are you looking for when you decide whether you're going to pass to Ryan if he's out the door or not, or I'm going to go ahead and take the shot? What goes into the decision for you?
Most of the time, I'm going to look for an O guy coming off the bench. I'd say like 100% of the time, that's what I'm looking for. And obviously the defense checking them knows that they're the bigger threat. They're probably going to lean more towards them. So if I see an O guy having a step on a D guy, I'm going to try to throw it into him. If not, if they're being hesitant or if I got to step on them, I'm willing to take a shot as well and look for an opportunity for myself.
Ryan, is there ever a time where look, you're an offensive shooter. You always want the ball, right? But are there times where you got to go back and tell a guy, hey, man, just take the shot that was there? Or
no, RD are pretty savvy with what it's hard to say. Like Jay said, if a D's 90% of the time going to play the O guy. So the D takes a shot. They better score, but no, it's so hard in the heat of the moment. It's like a 3-second split where you have to make a decision of, am I going to shoot this or am I going to try to force it to the O guy? And yeah, sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes not. It's depending on the play.
All right. I want us all to I want not all of us, because I'm not an us, but you 3 played in the league. Jamie, I want you answering this too. Stan there wants to know, what team is there a team of guys you dislike playing the most and why? So I'm curious if Jalen and if Ryan will have the same answer. And I want you going back to your old days there, Jamie. I want to know who you had too. I want to know who you got sick of. Ryan, let's start with you, and we'll just, at least as it looks to me, like the Brady Bunch thing we got going on, we'll go Ryan, Jalen, then Jamie.
That's a tough one. I would say obviously Buffalo. It's always a grind beating them and then losing in the championship. But I would say number one, we always have good battles with San Diego. It's a good rivalry, and it always gets chippy, and it's a grind to play against them. So probably San Diego.
Yeah, you stole both my answers. I'd have to. You could have left one for me. I'd have to agree. I think obviously with the way playoffs have played out for the last few years I've been in the league. Playing against San Diego and Buffalo, definitely 2 of our biggest rivals, and being knocked out or knocking them out, I think it always adds an element of chippiness, like Leeser said, and things are always a little on the rougher side and tensions get high. If I had to say one not of those 2, I'd say our games with Calgary can get up there too. Also because of the playoff situation where we've been battling with them and knocking them out and whatnot. So, yeah.
Well, little history lesson here, showing my age for both you boys. Yeah, Calgary, obviously, if you look back, at least during my time, the Mammoth won a championship in 06. So another fact, both Mammoth championships were wins against Buffalo. So I could definitely agree with that rivalry. But just in my playing days and just watching the Mammoth, Calgary was always good battles and always had our number in the playoffs. And, I think that's, if you talk to any of the, older guys, I think they would agree. Calgary, like we had a streak there where we'd have a great regular season and always meet Calgary and lose. So definitely the Roughnecks. And, I think too, another rivalry brewing, and we saw it in the home opener against Vancouver. Kurt Milosky behind the bench there is definitely going to build, a fiery team, competitive team that's going to put a good effort every night. And saw some emotions there at the end of the game, which is great to see. You feel like we don't see that a lot, but I feel like you guys have a lot. Like anybody who comes in a Ball Arena is ready to go. I know I got traded to Minnesota, and literally 2 weeks later, I was playing in Pepsi Center, but in a different jersey. It was Brian Langtree jersey retirement night, which was awesome. But I was fired up, and like I just every team that comes to play you guys is incredible, and they definitely step up their game. So it's been fun to watch, but definitely agree with Buffalo. But you guys got their number too, and both championships are against Buffalo, so that's pretty cool.
All right, guys, we'll wrap it up here pretty quick. I'm curious. So do you guys follow football at all? If I were to ask you for predictions for the Super Bowl, are you ready to give it to me, or are you too busy with other stuff?
I'm the wrong to talk to.
The referees and Chiefs.
Yes, they are one.
Well, guys, I appreciate you hanging out with us. And Ryan, I know it's way later there than what the three of us are dealing with, so thank you for making time tonight. We'll cut you free. We'll let you get to work. I hope all the clients are happy with you. Jalen, it's great to catch up with you. I haven't had even a chance to talk to you too much, so it's great to be able to chop it up with you. And you know what? If you do, I know a couple guys, if you need a tattoo dude. One of the guys that I met that did a bunch of Bronco tattoos has started doing rock stars too. And he just opened, his name's Nate Stevens, and he just opened a tattoo parlor of his own. So, and Ryan, I don't know. I know Ryan, I could see Ryan go for the Kenyon Martin, like neck baby that he had or something. Maybe we'll get that on you as well. But guys, thanks for joining us tonight.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
See you guys.
See ya.
All right, Jamie. Now that they're gone, and we'll let them go about their night. We gotta get into what you thought of the two games. I think you said it best, and I think it was Jalen that we were asking the question of. It's kind of odd how, not completely, but it was almost a repeat on the Albany side of what happened in Pepsi Center going the Ball Arena. He shouldn't have told me the old name, Ball Arena, but it went the other way back in their building.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of, Ryan said it there too, just a desperate team. I mean, they made a trade earlier that week in between games, and so they're looking at ways to win, and you can tell their guys were just motivated, and the Mammoth went into a hostile environment, and I think they put forth a good effort, but it was just Albany's night at the end of the day.
Jamie, I know they don't. What do they have? 2 wins now, and I know, I feel like we say it so often, fans think it's hyperbole. But you just mentioned it with Calgary. Now, I think it's a little different with the unified standings. It was a little different circumstance for Calgary being in the one division versus everything being unified now. But some of these teams that don't have a lot of wins, you got to be careful. That Albany offense can put some goals up. We saw it both games. If they get right on the defensive side of the ball, that's still a pretty dangerous team, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Look what they did last year, right? They made it to the finals, and they're having off to a rough start, and I think and what the Mammoth are up against too is another 2 desperate teams on the road against Rochester, and then they played Toronto, which has had a lot of injuries. They've had the injury bug this year. Tom Schreiber back in the lineup had a phenomenal weekend, but I think I agree with what Jalen said. Like, this league is so tight and everybody's so talented. You never know what you're going to get on any given night, but they're going to be in tough. They're especially playing these desperate teams, and then they have Georgia, right? Is obviously one of the top teams in the league. So I think it's an interesting stretch here, these next 3 or 4 games for the Mammoth. They're in a good spot right now, but 2 wins, out of these 4, I think will keep them in that area. If they want to take that jump, then they need to focus on winning all 4.
Well, I hope they can do. I like their mix, Jamie. What I like, you and I've talked about it on the broadcast a lot. We got to get Johnny on here one night. I feel bad. I don't want to bother the old coach ever, but I'm sure you'd probably make time for it. I do like how they stop runs. I feel like we've discussed it on the broadcast, but if they can continue to get the big goal that shuts down that big run and either keeps them in it or restores order, then I think that's what's key. I thought they got that goal a couple times in Albany, only for Albany kept pushing and Simmons really had a good night. And, they had their game going, and that was a desperate team, right? We're starting at the time of year where you're finally going to play some desperate clubs. You got to be ready for it.
Yeah, it's tough. And I've been in that situation before. I've been on successful teams with the Mammoth. And then I remember we had a 4-12 season where we didn't win a home game. And, it's miserable, but when you get those wins and you're playing against teams, that are in the middle of the pack there, I think it's, you definitely have to elevate your game. And like I said, coming into Ball Arena is definitely, always a challenge, but I think it's, one of the best lacrosse venues in North America, hands down. And, we're very fortunate to be able to watch them, but, I think, like you mentioned, the unified standings are so interesting. Obviously, Buffalo's powerhouse. They're, going for the 3-peat this year, and they have a good shot. Like if they stay healthy and, Matt Vince does what he does, they're going to be really tough to beat, and they have that experience now, which is really scary. And it's been done before. There's been 3-peats in the NLL, so I think that's definitely the team. Everybody's chasing and trying to emulate their game off of right now.
Do the Mammoth have enough defense to deal with that, you think?
Well,
or is it going to be about the O? Let's be honest about it, Jamie. Frankly, the O's would struggled a little bit against some of those 2 championship years. But
that's the beauty of the NLL, which is awesome now in the playoffs. They have 3-game series. I didn't experience that when I played. That's something new, which is awesome. I think you look at the traditional box lacrosse and back in Canada. National championships, it's a 7-game series battle. Minto Cup, it's a week-long grind. President's Cup, you play 7 games in 9 days. So these guys are used to it. So I think it's just creates that more competitive nature of it, and no team is guaranteed to win. Everybody thought Buffalo was going to beat Mammoth when they won that year, and the Mammoth shut them down, and guys stepped up on the offense. So to answer your question, and what we've been talking about all year, is I think Colorado does have the pieces. They have the veteran presence. They're very well coached. Obviously, they've been there before, and their offense is so well balanced. And I think when they just, when they decide to turn it on, they're a dangerous team.
Well, let's hope they're dangerous this weekend in Rochester, and then we got our next game coming up February 1st. You know what? You and I've been, man, we almost got scheduled during a Bronco playoff game a couple weeks, right before New Year's there. We've had to battle a lot of football. The next Mammoth home game's perfect because it falls on the Saturday, not Super Bowl weekend. So it's a week from this coming Saturday. It's February 1st. Make sure you get out there. I mean, man, it's been, again, you and I are connected with the team. We know the guys. This has been a very fun season of lacrosse, though, hasn't it? They really, I mean, we've had some great games at Ball Arena.
Oh, yeah. The boys have put on a show every single night. I mean, there's no reason not to go watch a Mammoth game. I had some friends that I got tickets for last game, and, young hockey players, and they're instantly hooked. They can't wait to go again. They're going to go February 1st. And it's, there's nothing better than experiencing Mammoth game here in Denver.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. My son brought a friend of his that plays baseball, and he walked out when I went to go grab him as we went home. I think you met him the other night. He had a whole bag of Mammoth gear. I had to check. I was like, did you get Nuggets or Avs? He's like, no, I had to get some Mammoth stuff. So bring them in once they get in the building. And again, we've had some pretty good games. There hasn't been really a boring moment in any of the games we've had at home. All right, Jamie, we'll wrap it up here. Again, so I want to put it out there for everybody because we appreciate everybody watching. My stupid Facebook page got disconnected tonight, so I'll try to get that thing up and running again. we're going to move this around a little bit. Now I got to make sure it works for Jamie's schedule. We're trying to get as many guys on as possible. And as we try to book this, and James Eunice has been awesome for us. We may have to get funky with this. We may have to do a Monday here and a Wednesday there. I thought we were going to have to do a Monday to grab Ryan, and Ryan jumped on tonight. So that was really, really awesome. But we may have to go a little bit earlier for the East Coast guys, because it's another thing that we're getting. And I found out, you kind of warned me, Jamie, we got guys coaching tonight too. So we may jump between Monday and Wednesday. Check my Twitter feed, Andy_Lindahl, Lindahl. You see it on the screen there. And we'll let you know what we got going on every week. Peyton's going to join us again. She had stuff to do at the Avs game. But we appreciate you guys watching as we try to get this thing kind of locked down and going. Jamie, another After Hours coming your way next week. I'm not positive what night it'll be. We'll try to take an early survey. My guess is probably Wednesday with the road trip. I bet you guys will need a minute to get back and get settled. But keep an eye out on my Twitter feed. We'll get you all fed in. You got a Super Bowl prediction, Jamie? I know you follow football. You're a States boy.
Just honestly, anyone but the Chiefs. That's just, Josh Allen. How can you not root for them and the Bills? I think they're just an exciting team to watch. But at this point, it's anyone but the Chiefs.
Oh, I'm with you. Yeah, you know what? I kind of like Jaden Daniels, the rookie.
Incredible.
He's fun to watch.
Luke McCaffrey's getting in the lineup. He's Colorado boy. So fun to watch. Definitely, he was my fantasy quarterback this year. So help me win the championship. No big deal throwing that out there, but
it'll let the IRS here. You don't want them digging into those winnings. All right, man. We'll talk to you next week. Jamie and I again will be. Will we be on the air? Now wait a minute. If you got a little travel, you're out of town the first, aren't you?
I am.
All right, so that means you got to tune in extra next week to get Jamie's analysis of the next game they're about to play. We thank everybody. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks here. Night all.